Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy night to join me. I really appreciate it. You have, in fact, consented to be here, behind whatever kind of device you're using to watch me, all while, I don't know, we're about to talk about nothing. So, congratulations. Seriously, no satire in that. You know what some real funny stuff is? Is like IRL jokes, right? I mean, the eyebrow, shaving off of your eyebrow as a 36-year-old man is pretty funny. Yeah, I know. I mean, I literally, I tell people I'm the joke, I'm walking by, sort of like, and then it comes true, and then I'm like, maybe I don't want to be the joke, but then what would be funny? I mean, I don't know. So, anyways, thank you for taking the time out of your night to join me. I really appreciate it. For all of what it's worth, again, there's zero acting here. I mean, if you've ever met me in real life, I kind of, this is the way I vibe, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going on a year of um, being sober, like quite literally, like from, a drunken reality as well as sort of a stupor that I encountered in my life, Anyways, this is why you shouldn't date people that are older than your parents. Anyways, I'm just saying. So, like I said, if you're new to the channel, let all of the universe help you. We have a really good time here. I know I say we, but it's just me, and we try to keep things as simple as possible, which is, again, the whole reason behind, the satire as it would be. I mean, how would you feel, right? It's like 4 streams a day, all of which, by the way, are not ever scripted. They're completely impromptu, and if they're not, it's labeled, and I've not spent more than 10 minutes doing any extent research between us anyway, so yeah, that's where we are. And this time I mean you and me. So regardless, let's talk tonight about how I read an article and then subsequently I watched a video on YouTube here about how there's a rich daddy perspective as it concerns NBA players and its future recruitment and things like this. And hey, here's the thing. I mean, yeah, I love basketball. Okay, I played for a place called like the Bernalillo County. I played for Albuquerque Youth Basketball League. I was a Valley Viking. I played basketball. I love basketball, organized basketball my entire life. YMCA ball. I played a couple years. I like basketball. Again, now I also am 5'4.5" and weigh 115 pounds. But if you've ever played ball with me, you know that I'm good. Again, I spend half my life making fun of me, the other third of it sleeping, and honestly, I deserve 5 to 7% of some decent recognition as it concerns my basketball handling abilities. I mean, seriously, and what more could I possibly expect? I've played basketball since I was like for like 30 years now. I mean, it is in fact the longest thing I've done other than live, and I'm not doing too good at one of those things, but I always feel like I'll always be good at one of them. You can imagine, kind of what that answer is, but regardless, I love basketball, and so I have been a part of basketball culture, it's fair to say, for at least 30 years, in terms of like, I was that kid in the early 90s who got allowance and went over to Blockbuster to buy the compilation videos of NBA basketball players, dazzling dunks, point guards, like, and again, it's interesting because now all that stuff's here on YouTube for free. But as you can imagine, I am approaching 40. I'm 36. And so again, I grew up like when it cost, $6 to rent 2 movies for 5 days. And that's, again, like how I got to be a part of the early culture in basketball. I mean, also mind you too that as a millennial, born in 87 and literally 13 in the year 2000, like I've also had, my experience with like being a sneakerhead and having literally the first opportunity like in recorded history to be a part of like such a really interesting and new fashion as it concerns like periodic timepieces and eras, you know? And so I love basketball. I love basketball. I can't express to the general public how much I love basketball. I mean, I literally think that like basketball is to thank for, you know, like me being the kind of person that I am, in that, you know, again, it's not just like performing well in the classroom, but it's also being able to socialize with your peers and be a part of a team, and to, you know, be a functioning part of that team, and that you contribute in a positive way. And so, yeah, I love basketball. Absolutely. And so it's weird because link in the description below. This video talks about how something that we've always known. And I've been like, I'm not an advocate for the NBA not recruiting straight out of high school. Okay? Some of the best basketball players in the history of the NBA have jumped straight out of high school, all right? And most notably, obviously, Kobe Bryant. You feel me? There's Kevin Garnett. There's many players who, before that like ban or whatever, and like the forced rule to play college ball for a couple of years, like I even feel more strongly about that now, because like at least as college athletes now, there's an incentive for conflict of interest, for highly politicized sort of things as it concerns the performance of athletic departments all over the country, because you can now bet on them, right? And that's a kind of amateur sport that like is not yet professional, and yet you can still bet on. Well, the majority of the student athletes that aren't star athletes get nowhere near the kind of stipend or scholarships or financial aid that some of the star players do. All while, you know, it's probably a really commonly known thing that the highest paid teacher in every state here in the United States of America is a coach. You feel me? So, like, listen, you know, I'm a huge fan of sports. I'm not a huge fan of conflicts of interest as it concerns amateur sports, you know, and so actually, I really wish the NBA would allow recruitment straight out of high school, because then it would actually improve the people's, like the young people's lives that are coming from harder backgrounds, the children, the young adults who are not going to be able to have that same kind of enjoyable experience in college. And if they do, it'll be far from the kind of marginalized experience they had as an amateur athlete. They could get hurt, all while not serving in their best interest, which is to get off of the situation that they're in terms of as quick as possible, receiving the kind of like, you know, resources and proper guidance that's needed to not lose all of their newly found wealth and so forth, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, like the NBA, you know, should, I just am a huge fan of saying that people should be able to come from nothing to make something, because the complex, and in the video below, it discusses how there's obviously a bias towards athletes and younger children who have rich parents that can put them through the kind of AAU and the private camps and the training that it requires to be a top tier athlete year round in a competitive nature, which again is, yes, definitely biased in the sense that the student athletes, and even like examples of Olympic athletes, like having to, you know, live in situations where they don't get like hardly any money just so that they have the opportunity to compete on a high level, while again other people spend their entire lives and all of their time and resources dedicated to becoming better at their sport. So yes, there is a lack of, right, obviously, time as it relates to skill set, in that it requires practice to be good at something, at anything, right? And so it's just, I don't know, like I feel like rich athletes always have an advantage. And it's unfortunate because I'm pro athlete, you know what I mean? Like I don't care if the, like, you know, fellow basketball player that I defeat is a millionaire. You know, it doesn't matter to me. Like in terms of like, yeah, you know, I've had the fortunate experience myself of being in a situation where like I got, you know, I didn't have to work as a young kid, you know what I mean? Like, and I could play basketball, like, I mean, like as a little kid, you know, like 6 to 10 and stuff. Whereas, again, in the underdeveloped world, right, there are children who like really literally never get the opportunity to do anything because they're stuck working and stuff. And so like you never really get the kind of pool of people that is as fair as you could, you know what I mean, if like everybody had equal access to vital resources like, you know, your basic things, healthcare, education, you know, UBI. Because again, this is the only way that I see as like a straight up competitor as it concerns, you know, some capitalist ideas. But again, like I'm not just interested in like, you know, defeating somebody because of like how much money they have or whatever. Like again, it doesn't matter. I don't care. You know, no athlete really cares, and expect it's hard because even the athletes that have everything don't care. But it's easier to not care, you know, when you don't have to care. I mean, you know what I mean? So in that situation, you have to be like sympathetic and understanding and support inner city athletics and like, you know, the ideas that some kinds of socialism programs can bring in terms of like benefiting the capitalist idea, which ultimately is like competition, you know. And yes, I want competition. You know, this is the 5'4.5", 115 pound dude talking about how like I'm you know, I can't wait to show, you know, people at some point like my basketball. I love basketball. Right. And so I hope that you guys have a really good night. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. All the new subs, all the new viewers. I see you. I appreciate it. And you know, I don't know. Like all I can do right now is thank you. You feel me? But I'll continue to do that because it is something that I can do, and I promise that I don't know, like 80% of the stuff that I do in life is just unknowingly and unbeknownst to me kind of just going to be a joke in the future, including this shaved off eyebrow, which really trips me out. But I'm hoping that it'll grow back like into something nice. You know, I mean, yeah, so I hope that you guys have a really good night, okay? Bye.